So Calvin, how many times have you been to the cave?
Been 3 times.
Yeah?
Been 3 times. The first time we went with all of us, all of our friends. And the second time, half of our group bailed and it left just the 3 of us. And persistent Isaac needed to get in that cave because he was not turning back after he drove all the way down there.
Imagine everything your parents told you not to do on a Friday night and then just kind of throwing that out the window.
I can't remember why I did it either. I wanted to be more spontaneous. That was the reason why I did it. I was like, I need to be spontaneous. And we went to this place.
Where we're at.
Beer, liquor,
My
wine.
car is.
I'm not using the GoPro.
I got the GoPro.
Listen to that beer and liquor.
The beer, liquor, and wine store.
That's the safest place to park the car.
We are walking to the cave.
You have to drive about to the worst part of town with honestly some of the worst people you know just to get there. And then once you get there, you hope your car doesn't get robbed when you get out. And worst part about it is you gotta walk for probably about half a mile at night. 'Cause God knows you're not going during the day.
It's never been this busy.
Man, what's up with that?
We're normally on the other side of the street too.
Yeah. To us, like right now.
Ventured down that stupid road, the dirt sidewalk with the glass all over the place, going by the dog pound and the auto shop with the dog barking at us, and that liquor store, the gas station.
This is one of the worst parts.
There's the animal hospital.
Like, I'm really excited about this, doing something new, really exploring this scenery and surroundings. And then as soon as we got in the cave, I was like, can we please leave? And we walked like a half mile in front of this guy to this guy's house, and you had to like cross through without him seeing you.
So we're about to get to a house, and we have to sprint.
There it is. Basically, the guy said, "He'll spray paint your car if he catches you running across in front of his house." So
That's the house. Right there. Kind of hard to see on the camera.
A buddy of mine said that this old dude was the scariest part about the cave, because once he came out, like, he shined on their lights and he came out with a shotgun to get them, so we always had to be really quiet when we go by that guy's house.
Make it to this house where some old man lives, and I was told to sprint by this guy's house because I don't know what he'll do to you if he catches you, and we sprint by it every time because we don't know who is in there, what he'll do to you. And there's this barrier once you sprint by his house, and you jump over this thing, and you get to this opening, and then on this opening there's a couple different trails, and to get to the cave you take the one on the right.
We got Toby, William.
alright, let's go.
Wait.
Why do you have to run?
Because we don't want him to see us.
And then you had to cross behind that and then just continue on this like little forest pathway for like a good solid 15 minutes without knowing where to go.
The whole time you're sketching out, like, what's going to get me?
You take that trail and you walk in the woods for, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, and you walk off this trail for just a little bit, and you'll just see just a hole in the ground. It's a little up on a hill, there's just a hole, and there's a ladder to go down this hole, this old wooden ladder, and we climbed down it, and just in total darkness.
Nothing in there until you turn on a flashlight or something. It's like you're blind.
Climb down and immediately you get this eerie feeling because there's writing all over the walls like "Do not enter," and like "Prepare to die," and just a bunch of shits trying to mess with you.
I just remember I kept bugging you guys about it. I was like, "Yo, we need to leave. We should
Yeah,
just
I was
leave
with
right
you.
now."
I
was freaking out, and then Isaac's like, "Let's go deeper."
But eventually you just keep going down there. You find all this string that looks like a lot of people tried not to get lost. You realize, okay, I probably should have brought something because the whole thing's just a dark, open space that you get lost in way too easily.
You see the string on the ground of people who have been down here who are just not trying to get lost, and you see just messages written on the walls to turn back, going the wrong way, going the right way, just everything written on these walls, and we keep going in further and further, and you just get this eerie vibe, to go, just leave. You just want to leave when you're down there, but and Ross was feeling the same thing I was, and we started telling Isaac we wanted to turn around, but Isaac did not want to turn around. He wanted to keep going, so we kept going.
And eventually we reached like a area. It had beer cans and stuff, but it had like these devil worship signs, and it had like a circle with like chairs in it, and like spray painted different symbols, and really freaky.
We got to a point where it was just, you saw buildup of rocks falling down, and you saw this like ring, we saw multiple rings where people, like, I don't know what they were, like devil worship or like devil signs on the walls and stuff, and we got to a point where we just knew we had to get out of there. We had to turn around, and we eventually convinced Isaac to turn around with us.
You see rocks that fell down the entire time, like it collapsed, and you go deep enough in the cave and you find it did collapse, and that was the reason why they thought that they stopped using it, is because a lot of people died when it collapsed in that cave. And so eventually you get scared enough to think, okay, one of those rocks falls on my head, we'd all be dead in here. So we all, started moving out of the cave, right?
So we went all the way, we followed our tracks back, and we got it out, climbed that wooden ladder out of that hole and back onto the trail.
We get out there, and finally we get back into the woods. We're trying to be quiet, and so, no one hears us, and we just start hearing some rustling in the bush.
It was like right in the bushes next to us. It was like kind of mimicking us.
Thought it was one of my friends, but then, and I'm normally the leader of this expedition because I had to convince everyone, but I was starting to, get a little skeptical myself that there was actually something down there.
Heard something following us as we were walking.
The rustling in the bush keeps following, and so we walk faster, and it keeps following faster.
We started walking, we heard something walking with us.
We took a step. It took a step.
Walked a little faster, and it started walking faster with us, keeping up with us, and I just remember Isaac just started sprinting.
And then we started running, and it started running.
Until eventually we're running, and it's like right next to us.
He didn't know what it was, and we didn't know what it was, and we just, as soon as we saw Isaac sprint, we just sprinted too, and we heard it sprinting alongside of us.
Before you know it, we're out in the middle of a field, and it's gone.
Eventually we just made it to that clearing, and it was freaky. I don't know what that was. It sounded larger than a raccoon. I don't know if it was a deer or something. We don't know. We don't know, but it's crazy because it sounded. We discussed it, and we were like, it could have been a human. We didn't know what it was. It sounded larger than a raccoon. We didn't know what kind of animal would follow us like that, and sure enough, I go back the third time I went with William and Tony. We met up with a group of strangers, and they talked about how people were following them. People were following them like in the caves and alongside the other trails along that leads to like spillways. They said people were listening to them and following them, and I don't know. I can't confirm if that was a human or not, but I think it's possible.
So I got one last question for you. You think you'd ever go back?
It's tough because I would go back to record it, to show the people, but I would never go back just by myself and just for fun.
I don't think so.
Oh, here we go.
Isaac's like, I think that was a raccoon. But I don't think it was a raccoon, man.
Definitely was not a raccoon.